Depending on how long Marcus Mariota is out, Derek Carr, we know, is out for a couple of weeks with a fracture in his back. You thought maybe bringing in Colin Kaepernick, certainly for Tennessee, makes sense. Why?
Well, well, Dan, one of the narratives that was out there back when we were in this mode where people were actually trying to sell the idea that it was only football reasons that Colin Kaepernick didn't have a job before Steve Bisciotti, the Ravens owner, made it clear to everyone that it's not just football reasons. One of the arguments was Colin Kaepernick's style is dramatically different from the starter, so he can't be the backup because you need a backup who's just like the starter. And meanwhile, in Tennessee, you got Matt Castle backing up Marcus Mariota. Are you kidding me? He should have been there all along. Kaepernick should have been there all along, and he's the guy that if Mariota misses some time, and even if he doesn't miss time now with this hamstring injury, he has the kind of playing style that is conducive to other injuries. He had the broken leg last December, and it would have made sense for the Titans to have a backup. If there's anything to this notion that you want to have a backup who can simulate what your starter does, so there's minimum drop-off, minimum change if the guy gets injured, then it should have been Kaepernick all along instead of Matt Cass.
But you know that President Trump is going to send out a tweet if you do that. You know right away. He's already done that with Colin Kaepernick, and this is a state that voted, I think, over 60% for Donald Trump. I just can't see them employing him, even though they need a better backup quarterback, Mike.
After everything that's happened over the last 11 days, though, with this, I don't see – how does it get worse at this point, right? I mean, it's already Trump versus the NFL, and that's subsided for obvious reasons in the past couple of days, but at some point it's going to come back again. But you have to ask yourself, well, what are we in the business of doing here? I mean, yes, you want to have your fans show up and you want them to support your team, but you ultimately want to win games. And that's the way to secure long-term support, national following, win football games. And the Titans are kind of on the cusp of that. But if they don't have an adequate backup to Mariota, and whether it's now or whether it's week 10 and he misses time and they lose just enough games that they don't make it to the playoffs, you've blown your opportunity to make your team into one of those teams that people want to follow. And I just think for that reason, you need to have a backup that you feel good about. And I don't know. There was a sense immediately in the aftermath of what the president said that this means somebody is going to go out and sign Colin Kaepernick, and there's been no interest in him in the 10 days since then. But I just think that when you look at the Titans, you look at Mariota, if he can't play, Kaepernick makes so much more sense than Matt Castle. And if you're making a football decision, that would seem to be the right decision.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, joining us. Yeah, but my issue, I think if you ask, it'd be an interesting result, interesting poll question. If you ask fans in Tennessee, would you rather bring in Kaepernick knowing he'll make your team better, or would you rather stay status quo? I'm curious if, even though Kaepernick might be a better backup quarterback or even filling in for a couple of games, if they would still rather stay status quo.
Yeah, and you can look. If that's the only question asked, and you're not lumping in all the other issues and all the other questions, then you're probably going to have people say we don't want anything to do with Colin Kaepernick, just because that's a way to express yourself in this ongoing debate. But it broadened so much when the president said what he said, and more players decided to protest. That at one hand, you look at it and it underscores Colin Kaepernick's role as starting this. But I think it also dilutes his role in what has become a much bigger movement, a much bigger issue than him. And I mean, who knows? But the point is, you want to win games. Matt Castle versus Colin Kaepernick. Hell, Dan, E.J. Manuel versus Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I think we all know the answer to that one, too.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.